So here, we played from the beginning to measure 15. Your part has a lot of whole notes and half notes slurred together, so you need to make sure you're conserving enough bow so that you can last all 4 beats in every measure that you need to. In measure 4, you have a quarter note with 3 rests behind it, so you need to make sure you're counting that measure correctly. It should sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from measure 11, 12, 13, and 14, that's another tricky place with the rhythm. It should go rest, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you clap it, it should sound like this: rest, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, rest. Playing it, measure 11 and 12 sounds like this: rest, rest. And then measure 13 and 14 are the same rhythm with different notes. So here we played from measure 15 to measure 23. The trick is to make sure you're counting the right number of notes. In measure 15, 16, and 17, you have 9 Bs, so you need to make sure you're playing all 9 of them. The other trick is to make sure you're counting the rhythm. In measure 17 and 18, you have a quarter note, 2 rests, a quarter note, and then a dotted half note, which is 3 beats, followed by another rest. So that would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, rest. Let's break that down a little bit more. Measure 17, quarter note, rest, rest, quarter note. So it would sound like this: 1, rest, rest. And then in measure 18, that dotted half note lasts 3 beats, so you need to make sure it lasts all 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, rest, or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we played from measure 25 to measure 31. Now the trick here is in measure 25, you have a rest on beat 1, which means you come in on beat 2. You need to make sure you're counting that rest. So it should sound like this: 1. And then in measure 26, you have another dotted half note. Make sure that lasts 3 beats and you have a rest on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, you need to make sure you're counting all 4 beats of your whole note. So this is section 31 to 37, and you have slurred half notes. So the trick is going to be that you need to make sure you have enough bow to play all 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The notes are not all the same. It's not the same 2 notes over and over again. So you need to make sure that you know which fingers you're supposed to have down when and what you're supposed to be picking up. This is section 37 to 43. Now, you have a whole lot of F sharps played over and over again. Your trick is going to be not getting lost. You need to know how many F sharps you're playing and where beat 1 is. So you start with a rest, and then you have another measure of F sharps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another measure of F sharps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another measure of F sharps. And then you have a quarter note, 3 beats of rests, and 2 more quarter notes. And you need to make sure you're counting those rests. Rest, rest, rest. Another way to do it would be to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this section, 43 to 53, you have a repeat with a first and second ending. That means the first time you play it, you play the first ending. The second time you play it, you skip the first ending and you play the second ending. Aside from that, you need to remember that you have your low 2s on your D string and high 2s on your G string. Make sure you're counting your half notes correctly and your dotted half notes. In measure 44, for example, you have a dotted half note, 3 beats, with a quarter note, 1 beat. It should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in measure 46, you have the same figure with a rest instead of a quarter note. So it should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is section 53 to 61. Here you start pizzicato, but in measure 57, you change back to arco. So you need to make sure you're ready to pizzicato at the beginning, but your bow is in your hand, ready to go when you get to measure 57. Now in measure 56, you have a quarter note and then 3 rests in order to get your arco bow hold ready. So it should look and sound like this. Now, you need to make sure you don't crash into the string. You're just placing your bow gently on the string, waiting for beat 1 to play your E. One more time, it should look and sound like this. 2, 3, 4. In measure 58, you have 2 F sharp half notes, but in 59, you have an F natural, which means your high 2 goes to a low 2. The same thing happens in measure 60. You have a G, F sharp, F natural. So you need to make sure you're moving that second finger. It should sound like this in measure 58, 59, rest, rest, rest. Make sure we can hear the difference between your F sharps and your F naturals.